Welcome back to our city. October is Fire Prevention Month throughout the country, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Chris Lisi, who is the fire official here in our city and is responsible for going to schools and businesses talking and encouraging fire prevention. Homeowners and renters, tips for both. What do you think?
Absolutely smoke detectors in each of the bedrooms. Absolutely carbon monoxide detectors in the hallways. If it's an attic, both a combination smoke detector or the CO detector in the attic, in the basement, smoke detectors, and also a CO detector. And I emphasize right by the staircase walking up, because usually it comes up to the higher level. And that's why we have a CO detector on each floor.
So it can get up there.
That's correct.
And with windows constantly open, would the CO register or would it go right out the window?
Depending on the breeze. What we do as a fire department, if we respond to a CO detector activated, the dispatch center will tell them what to do. We'll get there. If there is a reading, all right, we'll open the windows, ventilate everything out, close the windows, use our meters that we have, our gas meters, to find out where the leak is coming from.
Do you recommend fire extinguishers in apartments or houses, and what's the proper, how do people use them?
Well,
and
yes.
What type is recommended?
Yes, I like a 10-pound ABC. ABC meaning 3 types of fires. A fire meaning combustibles, papers, furniture. B meaning flammable liquids, and C meaning electrical. Okay, that extinguisher will extinguish each one of those fires. In the apartment buildings, we like to have them in the hallway. If they're in the apartments, we like to put them next to the kitchen.
10 pounders because they're easily handleable.
That's correct.
Handed by people.
In the kitchen, a 2.5 pound. Right in the kitchen, and we want them all mounted. We don't want them just laying there, because what happens, people take it and put them in this section.
And they forget where they put them.
Exactly, so that's why they have to be mounted by code.
Oh, okay. We have them, but they're not mounted. That's interesting you say that. That's a good point. Never knew that. You learn something new on this show every time. So smoke detectors, carbon monoxide. Can a smoke detector detect carbon monoxide and vice versa?
No, they're not made to do that. Smoke detectors are made to smoke, and carbon monoxide detectors are made to the gas. Is it possible that they can activate? I guess anything's possible, depending. But they're not made for that. They're 2 separate individual pieces.
But the dual one will select both.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because it's got a filament for carbon monoxide. It has a filament for the smoke.
Now, some segment of the population is either deaf or hard of hearing, and smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, letting off a loud sound. How are deaf people awakened in the middle of the night? People that have normal hearing, it's probably not a concern, but as the mayor and the fire official, that would be a concern for the segment of the population.
Oh, absolutely. There's a couple things. Right now, there's a smoke detector that gives off a bright, bright light, brighter than the regular smoke detectors, or I should say the notification detectors that you see on the side of a wall when you see the light flashing, right, and the sound. This is strictly a detector on top of the ceiling of their bedroom where they're staying. It gives off an extra bright light to wake them up. And also, depending on what they have there, you can also get special equipment like beds that'll vibrate and pillows that'll vibrate.
Pillows that'll vibrate?
Yep. So there's all kinds of things out there available for you. Yeah.
And that would be attached to some mechanism, and it would just start shaking the bed type of thing.
To wake them up, and then they'll see the bright light and they know something is going on.
Have you seen any of that stuff?
No.
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 You just know it's there from trade magazines and being the fire official.
Yep, and going on all different types of the NFPA sites and everything and looking at that.
But you haven't seen any active in your travels?
No,
okay.
Not yet.
And if there's this is an interesting question, a fire in the toaster, do you try to put it out?
I
never saw that.
Yes. I'm going to say if you can unplug it and get out. If you can't, then get out. And I cannot emphasize this more and more, is close the door behind you. And call the fire department once you get outside.
Why do you close the door?
Stop the spread of fire. A fire needs 3 elements to have a fire. You have a fuel, you have an ignition source, in this case a toaster, you have the cabinets and stuff, the fuel, and you have oxygen. Well, if I close the door behind me, what am I shutting off? Is the oxygen, thus putting the fire out. That's the idea of it.
And it helps keep it contained until
Compartmentation.
professional help can get there.
And then smoke, a fire extinguisher does the same thing. It takes away the oxygen, does putting the fire out.
Heating pads in a bed.
Bad.
Bad. Fires can start from heating pads?
Absolutely. What happens is especially the elderly, they use them all the time. What happens, the wires start to become frail, and the covering starts to come off. And what happens is they're not paying attention, and it starts to spark and arc, and actually the pad itself will start on fire.
And if it's between your mattress?
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. And a lot of times they'll fall asleep. And a lot of times they don't feel the pain like you and I as you become older.
So from smoking in your bedroom, which has always been a real negative, and people understand that, but heating pads and things of that nature, if not properly maintained,
correct.
You wouldn't recommend heating pads then, would you?
As long as they're used properly, and as long as you shut them off and unplug them before you go to bed, sure.
Oh, okay.
They're safe. It's all about the safeguarding. Same thing with
so people don't turn them off before.
Correct.
Electric heaters. Can you throw a wet towel in your electric heater?
No, electric and water doesn't match. Again, there's thermostats on it. Keep it away from your bedding. Keep it away from combustibles. Keep it away from your curtains. All right, and use it properly, and it's fine. It's a safe piece of equipment, and make sure any equipment that you get is UL approved, Underwriters Laboratory approved.
What are some? We just talked about space heaters. There's some do's and don'ts too. How keeping it away from combustibles. What do you do with a space heater, though? I mean, is it okay to keep it close to the bed, or?
No.
No, because you got that.
That's not what it's made for. Because you have to remember, those combustibles, it doesn't take a lot of heat to ignite them. And once they get ignited, then you have a bigger problem. So keep them away from your bed. If you're going to use them, make sure you use it properly away from the bed. And if there's a thermostat on it, when it gets to a certain temperature, it shuts off. And you use the regular electrical cord that comes with the heater. Don't use an extension cord. That's not what it's made for. Plug it in, and if something happens, the GFI will pop like it's supposed to and shut it down automatically.
Chris, carbon monoxide, we've talked about it. We spent a lot of time on it. Is there a way carbon monoxide in the household can actually be prevented?
Well, yeah, maintenance of your furnace, making sure your stove is working properly, making sure your stove is cleaned properly. Your chimney, make sure it's cleaned on a regular basis if you have a fireplace. And by all means, make sure your flue is open. You know what I mean? And make sure everything is taken care of appropriately according to the recommendations or the directions that comes with it.
But people don't pay attention to that, Chris. I mean, they think once you put an appliance in the house, it's going to work fine. There's no need to upkeep it. And we have a fireplace. I don't use it anymore after the fire. But I'm just curious to know, how do you get that word to the people? Through the kids? Education.
It's all about education. Schools, through your schools, through your lecturing in different facilities. Let them know. Literature. There's literature out there. We're in the process of making up literature, for fire prevention that's coming up next month. You know what I mean? To hand out to the schools, to hand out to all the, the citizens. Let them know what's going on.
Any interesting questions from the kids?
Well, they want to put the gear on.
They do?
Yeah, and they want to know how heavy it is.
They do?
Yeah.
That's their big thing.
That's it. You know what I mean? And they can do it. 4 years old, yeah, they can put fires out. That's their thing. I can do it, Mr. Fireman. Yeah.
I can do this, Mr. Fireman. And then what do you tell the kids? No, you can't.
I'm saying, listen, I hope you can. And I'll give you the piece of turnout jacket that I give you, the coat. Here, hold it. And then they say, oh, wow, that's heavy.
Well, 4-year-old kids can't hold that coat.
Well, we help them. We assist them. Hold them, let them feel what it's like.
And then they have to put that on, trying to put that thing on, right? That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Seasonal decorations. We're coming up on Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. A lot of folks putting out seasonal decorations, not only outside the house, but inside the house as well. Light bulbs, you name it, it's happening. How do you prevent seasonal decorations from catching fire?
Number one, make sure there's a fire retardant on them. Make sure they're UL approved and they have a fire retardant on them so they don't catch on fire. If it's outdoor lighting, then it goes outdoor. Indoor lighting goes indoor, not indoor, outdoor. Indoor is indoor, outdoor is outdoor, because they're made differently.
Never knew that. So I figured it's made differently, but the indoor lighting outdoors doesn't work either.
No, because it's the way it's made, and it's more environmental friendly as far as the weather goes on the outdoor stuff.
Okay, what do you think of sprinkler systems?
Love them. Absolutely,
You do? They work?
positively love them. Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
houses can't put them in there.
Sure they can.
They can?
Sure they can.
Even old houses like in the city of Elizabeth?
They could be, refurbished, yes. But again, new houses, yes, they should. Absolutely, positively. They're
New houses
definitely-
should always have them.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that a code now in new houses or no?
No, they just voted it down.
They
They just voted it down.
would have been a good thing, right,
It
in
would
new
be an
houses?
excellent thing. And it's not that expensive. Contrary to what people say, it's not that expensive because you're not using regular black pipe like you would use in a commercial building. You're using plastic piping. So it's not that more expensive to do it. It only goes in the common areas.
Okay. So if anyone needs any more information on fire prevention or would like instructions, who do they contact
You can call my
besides
office.
our website? How do they get a hold of
You
you?
can call my office, 908-820-4040. Ask for one of my secretaries. They'll put you in contact with one of my inspectors. And whatever we can do for you, we're there for you.
Chris, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show and explaining to our residents some tips about fire safety during Fire Prevention Month here during the month of October.
Thanks for having me, Mayor.
Thanks,
Good
Chris.
to see you again.
For Mr. Chris Lisi, the fire official here in our city, please be safe and please take those tips on fire prevention during the month of October and every month thereafter. And I'm Chris Bolwage. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.
Why do we like it here? Let's just say the reasons are diverse. Kane University.